Gunadosha vicharakam sattvam rajastamaschasya guna vikriyate hitaihi. Acheshu artha arpiteshu. So here Vidyaranya is discussing first the senses gather the information of the attributes of the object. So acheshu artha arpiteshu, when the senses make contact with the objects, their sense objects, respective sense objects. So eyes can only see colors and forms, ears can only hear. So each field of their application or operation is fixed, and their objects are also fixed. And all these five senses only gather the information and feed to the mind. So mind is the one that integrates the information from the sense organs. Mind by itself cannot do this job without the help of senses. So for all external perceptions, that is all the things that I am seeing outside the world, I need a sense input for the mind. Even if the mind is working, if my senses are not working, I will not be able to get the information from the world. So the world involves objects by themselves, but objects themselves cannot be seen. They have to be noted through their attributes only. So without the attributive content or without the attributive information, objects cannot be recognized either, even though objects are there. So we would not know whether the objects are really there or not unless I perceive it, because I had to perceive to establish the existence of the objects. Therefore the world by itself cannot declare that I am there. I have to declare the world is there. So I have to be there to establish the existence of the world. So existence of the world depends on my existence, because I have to be there in order to establish the world. If I am not there, is the world there? We don't know. How are we going to prove? So it is called anirvachaniyam. It is indeterminate. The problem cannot be solved, because to solve it you need again conscious entity. So one conscious entity has to be there in order to recognize. Therefore they always go with a name and a form. Naming is knowing. So in order for me to know, first I need to have a form. Form includes all shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, all the five sense input from the object, if the object has those five inputs. If that, like a chair can only give the color and form. It doesn't give sound, and I am not going to taste the chair. So all other attributes of the chair are not there or not perceived. Only form and color is only given, from which I had to deduce this is a chair and not a table. So this distinguishing features of each object is known only through its attributes, and that's called rupa. So each attribute, based on the attributive content, I can differentiate one object from the other object, because attributes differ. Attribute means properties. And attributes, he already said, there are only five major categories in which you can have different varieties and all that within that, as the colors and this, everything looks to me only either red color or blue color. My wife says, no, this is different color, that's different color. All distinguishing within the reds and within the thing, you become subtler and subtler. That's what is the shabda also. People differentiate this ragam, that ragam, this shruti, that shruti, all within the shabda only. As you become finer and finer and finer, you can distinguish in even finer modes in that. For that, you need to train your mind. Right? But categories, these are the five essential things through which you can differentiate. And objects, as they are attributes or reflection of the original, because attribute, form and color is there only, but I get reflection of that through the senses. So senses gather the reflective attributes of the object out there, and the mind integrates. This is just normal. This is what happens in the two. Now, this mind has interpretation. Now, where does that interpretation comes? It says guna dosha vicharakam. So it differentiates based on the attributes. It makes a judgment call. Hey, this is good and that's not good. Objects themselves have nothing to do good and bad. They are just objects as they are. So who is making a judgment call about this is good and that is good? It is the mind that is making a judgment call. So that's what is the guna dosha vicharakam. So because of the guna, which are properties, and I put dosha, whether dosha includes raga dveshas, all the likes and dislikes and all that are coming from the mind. How does the mind have that problem? Mind by itself is just a reflecting medium, but it gets contaminated based on the covering on the mind. Essentially, that's what we have to uncover. We have to polish it. Polish it is purification of the mind. So mind itself is muddled with these properties which are called the judgment call based on the vasanas. So where do the vasanas come into picture? Not in the objects. Objects don't have either like or dislike. Objects is as they are. But when I perceive the object, not only the attributes of the object, based on the attributes, I make a judgment call, and judgment call is done by the mind. So therefore, mind itself undergoes a modification as though when it perceives an object based on its samskara. Samskara means because of its vasanas. Make it, hey, this I like, that I hate, and this I love. All those things are coming from the mental attitudes towards the object. If that is removed from that, when the chitta suddhi occurs, chitta suddhi means purification of the mind occurs. That means we have to polish the mind. And depending on the polishing of the mind, I can perceive the object as it is, without getting muddled with my interpretation of the object, what I perceive. So here we have to see the difference between, so same object, different people see differently, and different people is evaluating differently depending upon their vasanas or samskara. So here guna dosha says vicharakam. So it makes an inquiry about good and bad qualities of the object. And what are those good and? He gives you three broader classification. Sattvam, rajas, tamasu cha asya. Guna vikriyatehi taihi. So this, or broadly sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, these are the properties that are there. That is because of which the mind will undergo a modification. Modification means transformation of, hey, I like this. So I have an emotional attitudes superimposed on the mind. So feelings come into picture. Looking at the object, I get different. If I see my beloved picture, then my emotions are different. Even though picture is the same, right? It's only the reflection. So this guna vikriyati, I undergo a modification or emotional change in the mind itself. And that comes at the mental level. So he's analyzing what is the world, how do I perceive, and what happens at the mental level. Because what is the world includes mental perceptibility of the mind includes, and therefore its modifications also comes into picture, because I don't see the world as it is. I see world through my mind and through my senses. If my senses are distorted, then I don't see the world as it is. Remember I told you about color blind and so on, then I don't see exactly what it is. If the mind is also distorted, then I don't see the world as it is. So what I see the world, or what I think the world is, depends upon my mind, its modifications, my senses, all that are involved in terms of what is there. What is there I will not know exactly. What is really there is, scripture says. What does the scripture says? Existence alone was there before. It itself is appearing as many. That's what it says. So I do not see the existence. I say chair exists, I don't see existence, but what is really is there? Existence expressing in the form of a chair. Gold expressing in the form of a ring. The same way, existence expressing in the form of a chair, existence expressing in the form of a table. So I cannot see pure gold, I can only see gold in varieties of forms. Therefore, similarly, I cannot see pure existence, I cannot see pure Brahman, I want to see Brahman. You are seeing Brahman, but you have to recognize the Brahman in and through the forms and names. I follow now? I cannot, I say, I want to see, I want to have a vision of the Lord. So how are you going to have a vision of the Lord? I have to imagine some form, and I can imagine in that form. Either Krishna form, Vishnu form, I saw Vishnu, okay? You can see all those things, depending upon how your mental attitude is. And one boy saw Vishnu or God, or in the buffalo form. I don't know if you know the story. So a boy, innocent boy, he was going and he saw one the Brahmin doing tapas or doing something in the Sandhya Vandanam in the river. Says, Swami, what are you doing? So he doesn't want to be disturbed by this guy. He says, I am looking for the God, I am praying for the God. So tell me, where is the God? I also want to pray. So he wants to get rid of him. He saw he's going on the buffalo sitting there. Says, it's in the buffalo. Oh, really? I'm glad. Thank you, sir. He told God, let's go. So he really believed that Mahatma was saying that it is in the buffalo. So he was praying the buffalo with the God, and also buffalo has to eat, that's only transportation for him. Oh God, please take me. So he was doing, and with sincere devotion he was doing, and God was responding to him. Because whatever buffalo was responding, and he knew that God was responding to him, and he understood. And after a few days he saw Mahatma was sitting there. Says, what are you doing there? Says, I am looking for a God, I am praying. What are you looking there? God is here in the buffalo. This fellow. Then buffalo answered, he doesn't believe. He doesn't believe that I am there in the buffalo. So he cannot see me. You only can see me because you have faith in that. So for us to see the Lord everywhere, we should have the faith as well as understanding. Faith in the statement of the scripture. See, the scripture says God is everywhere. When God is everywhere, he should be in the chair also, right? In what form? As pure existence. So, but existence itself is the material according to our scriptures, because there is no other material other than this. So how can existence be material? And this is what is going to be discussed in there, because that existence is conscious entity, whereas here we are seeing unconscious entity. Therefore, a conscious entity has to come into picture in establishing the existence of the object, because nama is involved, where nama is name. Name involves knowing, where conscious entity has to come into picture. So all these are involved in the analysis. So here, because of those sattva, rajas, tamo gunas, the mind goes into modifications. So these sattva, rajas, tamo gunas are property of the Prakriti. So the three gunas are property of the Prakriti, and depending upon their ratio of sattva, rajas, tamo gunas, you can have varieties and varieties of types of Prakritis. Just as Swamiji used to give in the coffee, at least South Indian coffee, all you have is coffee powder, milk and sugar. These are the only three ingredients. But each coffee is different from other coffee, depending upon who makes it, how it is made, and so on and so forth. So, even though there are three ingredients of sattva, rajas, tamo gunas, you have varieties and varieties and varieties of the characters that we have. So, that's where we stopped, and we will do sloka 14. Vairagyam Shantiraudaryam. Vairagyam Shantiraudaryam. Ityajya Sattva Sambhavaha. Ityajya Satya Sambhavaha. Kama Krodhau Lobhayatnau. Makrodhau Lobhayatnau. Ityajya Rajaso Sthitaha. Rajato Sthita. Together. Vairagyam Shantiraudaryam. Ityajya Sattva Sambhavaha. Kama Krodhau Lobhayatnau. Ityajya Rajato Sthitaha. So Vairagyam is detachment. Detachment is not having an attachment, right? What is attachment? We should know. Attachment is I and I want is an attachment. Definition of attachment is I and I want. Detachment is no I and I want in that. So essentially, I localized as an individual and I want it. So that's called mamakaram. Mamakaram is I want that. This is mine. This is mine is a part of I am this and I am not that and I want to make that also mine. That's what is the whole concept of the egotistical world. Whole egotistical, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this and so on. I want to own billions of dollars or millions of dollars or whatever because I don't have it and I want that also mine as this is mine. So that is ownership becomes a part of the attachment. And Vairagyam is detachment because one understands nothing really belongs to me. I came into this world with nothing, right? Not even clothes. So I came into this world with nothing and guaranteed that I cannot take anything from this world. Empty-handed, and make sure other people make sure that you are not taking anything also. So I cannot take anything from it because this nothing really belongs to me. Only in this 10-star hotel, now we are having towels, everything is provided, food is provided, fruits are provided, everything is provided. Use what is available here, but don't take it with you, don't own, or take the ownership of this as yours, and in the process where you get attachment and detachment because ups and downs, because when you think this is mine and somebody else takes it what I think is mine, then I get all the emotional problems, then anger and everything, all that comes into picture, kama krodha. So therefore, the one sattvika guna, the one who has the sattva guna pradhanam, is the nature is vairagyam. He has a detachment because he has no attachments. That's what is it. So just like I have no attachment to the presidentship of United States because I'm not president of United States. I don't have it, so I am completely detached. So Vairagya means understanding that it does not really belong to me. I can use it as long as it is to be used properly, appropriately, when I am entitled to use. Okay? So Vairagyam, then Shanti. Shanti is forbearance or the forgiveness. Is essentially, I am ready to forgive. So, how do I forgive? If my eyes goes into my ear, if my hand goes into my ear by accidentally, I forgive my hand, right? So why? Because it's my hand. Same hand will try to soothe the hand, soothe the eye. But of course, if your finger goes into my hand, then I'll be all angry and how dare you can put your hand. So what is the change? Because I extend all the way to my fingers. I cannot prosecute my finger because it went into my, because I understand I is the total. So when the forgiveness comes into picture, when I extend all the way, this is mine, all are me only. Just like I forgive my children, I forgive my wife, I forgive my family when they mistake, because there are me only extension. But other people, I get angry. Why? If I include other people as also part of me, then automatically the forgiveness flows in. So essentially, extension of mindness makes it, or if other way of looking at it is the Lord in that form. So who am I to forgive the Lord? Oh Lord, I'm giving forgiveness. Lord, it becomes a Leela. Leela becomes, it is a play of the Lord where I had to play in the same way. So it becomes, forgiveness becomes important. So it's a part of Ichadyaha, etc., etc. Etc., etc. includes, according to Sattva-guna, in the 18th chapter of Gita, these are explained elaborately. The knowledge is the most important property of Sattva-guna, which is not specified here, but the knowledge is most important property of the. So when you are sattvic, you gain the knowledge much more. Any knowledge, in fact, but more adhyatmika, it's more sattvic also. So ichadya sattva sambhava, they are born of Sattva-guna. Kama krodho lobha yatno ichadya rajasaha Rajasa uttitaha. So they are uttitaha is born of rajogunam, kama, krodha, lobha, yatna. So kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, macharya, all those called 6 enemies of the human being. They are varga. Essentially, kama is desire. It's called desire for self-centered desire mostly. Anger, krodha. Lobha is greediness. So lobha, yatna here is talk about prayatna, is efforts in order to gain something. Ichadyaha, etc., etc. are called. So any dynamic action involved, because yatnam includes the action to perform something, to gain something. So it is motivated by rajas. They are called rajasa uttitaha. They are born of rajoguna. So in the occult, I don't know, many people are familiar with occult theories. These sattva, rajas, tamo gunas gives you colors also, different colors. So sattva is supposed to be white, rajas is supposed to be red, and tamas is supposed to be dark. And people can see those colors. I don't know how, but people can see. And the famous example is, I don't know, many people know J. Krishnamurti. He was a boy of 11 years old. He was in the river, I don't know where, Godavari or somewhere, or seashore. Madras. His father was working for Madras, okay. He was in Madras, that means it was a Marina Beach somewhere. He was there. He was playing. Adyar, okay, he was playing with his brother, younger brother, and this, I think, lead beater. No, lead beater was the first who saw, and then say this guy has a radiant something, and he is going to be Messiah. This is what happened actually, story. If you look at the story of J. Krishnamurti, it's a very interesting story, where this boy has a color or aura color, and based on that, this person, beater, who is an occult guy, and found that this guy is almost in the highest state of evolution, because they believe in this Theosophical society. They believe in most of it, Hinduism part of it, and they have a reincarnation. They have gurus in Himalayas, Maitri, all sorts of gurus there in Himalayas. And this guy says he wants to bring this boy, adopt this boy. So he told Anibesantt, and Anibesantt is part of the president of the association. So they went and adopted this boy along with his brother Satya or somebody together. He's an 11-year-old boy, another fellow is an 8-year-old boy, because of looking at. And they wanted to bring him up in such a way that he is not conditioned or he is not polluted by other things. Anyway, that was a story. And he was given education in England from all over the place he traveled, and everybody said, oh, he's going to be Messiah. When he declares that I am a Messiah, we have to follow him. Until he declares, we have to follow all that. There is an order of star, a society was formed around him, as J. Krishnamurti was the president, and he was come to United States also at that time. And everybody said, oh, he is going to be new Messiah coming in, new Messiah, and he will declare as a new Messiah. And one day, Krishnamurti, when of the meeting of those order of stars were all in France, I think, he went and abolished the whole thing. He says, truth is a pathless land. You will form another association or somebody else, and I'm dissolving the whole thing. And he himself, looking back, what J. Krishnamurti taught is pure Advaita only. So he was indeed Messiah, in a way. Even though up to that point, the officer said, whenever he says something we have to follow, they didn't follow afterwards, whatever he said. But what he taught later is essentially pure Advaita Vedanta, although it is somewhat disturbed because he criticizes teachers and the discipline of this and all that. I mean, that's a different issue. But if you look at the essence of it, what the essence of the teaches is Advaita only, pure Advaita. So, looking back, all that history looking back, that was what is needed. After all, he had an aura from which he could decide, because they could determine that he is something highest ever in terms of evolution wise. And so I don't know why it came, because I had note here.
You came with occult and red, black and white.
Yeah.
That's where you
Yeah. So the colors of Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas. So Sattva, in fact, we had in the Navaratri. Sattva is the Saraswati is dressed as white. Okay. If you look at any Saraswati picture. Whereas the Lakshmi, Devi, all the wealth and all that, they are all in red color. Durga Devi, this is Navaratri, right? Durga Devi and Lakshmi are all in red because their action is involved. But action with the Vaibhavam, Vibhuti, that's a different. Lakshmi is.
That's why when you use the word detachment and for your Vairagya, if you use dispassion, because in dispassion, activity is included. It is not selfish action that for my mamakara gain. So that's where the English
Karmanya, akarmaya paschet. Yes.
You suck in wind, right?
Yes,
then
yes,
you
yes.
are breathing, that's action.
Yes. Okay. So that is the so-called Sattva Guna, then Rajo Guna. Now he is talking about Tamo Guna in the 15th. Alasyam Bhranti Tandradya. Alasyam Bhranti Tandradya. Vikara Tamasosthitaha. Vikara Tamasosthitaha. Satvikai Punya Nishpattihi. Satvikai Punya Nishpattihi. Papotpattischa Rajasaihi. Papotpattischa Rajasaihi. Together. Alasyam Bhranti Tandradya. Vikara Tamasosthitaha. Satvikai Punya Nishpattihi. Papotpattischa Rajasaihi. So alasyam, is procrastination, laziness and all that. Bhranti is a delusion. Tandra is sleepiness, Ajyaha, etc., etc., etc. So this is the qualities of a tamasic. So whenever we are having these, that means the tamas part is playing a role there. When you get so tired, you want to sleep, right? At that time, tamas is overpowering at that stage. When you are all dynamic, I want to do something, rajas part is something. When you are sattvic and you want to learn and contemplate you, then sattva guna. So we have all these three gunas. All these three gunas will be playing at different times and different modifications. So in the night time, you are so sleepy, you want to sleep only. Tamo guna takes over. But predominance of the guna itself will be depends on the individual also, samskara. That's what we have. Different varnas also coming. Say Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra is based on guna, karma, guna and karma. Guna means the sattva, rajas, tamo gunas and their proportions and resulting activities involved also. So those who are predominantly sattvam, they will be tuned towards more education, knowledge and that side, and that's what is the sattva guna pradhana. And rajoguna is you want to do this factory, that factory, this one running around all over the world. Is some people run for marathon also. No, I'm just I couldn't stop. But I'm just kidding. So that is that is property of rajoguna and sattvika. So vikara, these are vikaras of the mind. So tamasosti saha. This is because of the utpatti of tamas guna. So he has classified the sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna, and each property has its application in terms of the purity and activity and laziness or procrastination. Actually, Krishna gives you a lot more analysis of sattva, rajo, tamoguna in 18th chapter. 14th chapter is guna, but 18th chapter he classifies all that. Yes, food, sattva guna, sattva food, all those things also. Sattvikai punya nishpatti. So sattvikai by the modification of the sattva, punya nishpatti is punyam is the merits or and now you remember that's what he was referring to, the activities that are involved for the benefit of others come from the sattva guna also. Okay, so therefore it produces the merits, punyam merits that can be exhausted in this life or the life after, where you deposit the account and you go to heavens and all that, depending upon how much merits you have. You go to hierarchy in the resort, whether bigger resort, better resort. Yeah, loka, yeah. That's why I'm saying resort area. So yeah, high superstar hotels versus intermediate, all that depending upon how much credit you have, account you have, you can spend there. So this satvikaihi punya nishpattihi, these are the merits are being earned by the sattva guna, where you want to include others, to share others, to offer to others, to help others, help the totality, in that sense it coming. And rajoguna is trying to gather yourself all to yourself. So there its selfishness is involved. Therefore, papa utpattischa rajasaihi. So papa utpattihi rajasaihi, by the rajoguna you earn the demerits of the actions. So whenever you are involved in egocentric action that is selfish, because the fish is there in that, then you are gaining the papam. So either you gain punyam or you gain papam if you have a notion of doership. That's where you have to be careful. If whenever I am doing something as I am doing, then depending upon the nature of that, then you have. So, but if I do not have the notion of doership, or if I offer that also to the Lord, then I don't get punyam papam, he gets it. Right? He always gets punyam because he makes it into punyam, whatever, because he is a pure sattvic, so he turns into punyam essentially. So papotpattischa rajasaihi. So from the sattva he said punyam, from the rajas he said papam. So what about tamas? Guy who's sitting lazily like a couch potato. He doesn't get any. That's what he's going to tell in the next sloka. Tamasair no bhayam kintu. No bhayam kintu. Rudhayuhu kshapanam bhavet. Atraham prachayi karteti. Chaham prachayi karteti. Yevam loke vyavastitihi. Yevam loke vyavastitihi. Together. Tamasair no bhayam kintu. Rudhayuhu kshapanam bhavet. Atraham prachayi karteti. Yevam loke vyavastitihi. So, tamasaihi na ubhayam kintu. However, kintu is here. Tamasahi, because of the tamoguna, na ubhayam, neither punyam nor papam, neither bad nor good, because he is not doing anything at all. So, if he deliberately doesn't do anything, then it's a different story. When he has to do something, knows he has to do, is conscious of it, at the same time not doing it, then if it's a sleeping person, he's not doing anything good or bad, so we know that it is therefore evam loke vyavastitihi. We are all familiar with this because a person who has even sleepwalker, right, somnambulism or something, even if he commits, he is not really accountable for it because he doesn't know that he is doing it. Therefore, neither punyam nor papam. According to law also, it doesn't apply. Only thing happens is Rudha ayuho. Rudha means he is wasting his time. You can take all drugs and get stoned, but you become like a stone, and stone doesn't have either merits or demerits. So that's what happens. He is wasting his precious time because being born as a human being itself is the greatest the benefit that you have instead of any other thing, because you are given intelligence to do properly, and that is being wasted. So that's why activity has to be done, and intelligent activity has to be done. That's why buddhi has to be used. That is the gift as a human being. And if you don't use it and want to be lazy all the time, then it's a waste of the life, precious life itself. So, atra aham prachayi karteti. Aham prachayi means the sense of doingship is not there. Karta iti, I am a doer is not there when you are sleeping. Okay? So, what are you doing? I am sleeping. When you say I am sleeping, it's as though it's an action, but it is cessation of all activities, right? That's what is the sleeping is. So, evam loke vyavastitihi. So, this is the scene, as you see in the worldly things, people who are sleeping, they cannot be responsible for either positive or negative. So couch potatoes are really better. Not doing anything at all. There was a statement I think somebody made. The Eisenhower proved that we don't need a president, because he was only playing all the time golf, I think, and therefore he was not doing either damage or doing positive or negative. So in principle, we don't need any president. The whole government will run by itself. If there is a president, he will cause more damage one day, if at all he is there. Active president. Active president will only. Okay. Spashta sabdadi yukteshu bhautikatvam atisputam akshadavapi tat shastra. What is it? Akshadavapi tat shastra yuktibhyam avadharyatam together spashta sabdadi yukteshu bhautikatvam atisputam akshadavapi tat shastra yuktibhyam avadharyatam. So spashta sabdadi yukteshu, clear sound, taste, all those specific attributes become a means for me to know the whole world. So the world can be known through these five senses, and inferred yukti also is logical deduction from what I see. I can deduce certain things what I don't see also, based on the relationship between the what you called the hetu and sadhya in the anumana pramana, a deduction. There has to be relation between what I deduce and what is the effects that I am observing, even in science also. So when I observe stones coming from the moon by carbon dating, I cannot deduce Mars is such and such, because I don't have the data for Mars. I can only have data from the moon. So whatever the relationship has to be there, unless I establish another relationship that the stones in the moon is related to the stones in the Mars, then I can make that conclusion. So yukti means logic, but the logic itself is based on pratyaksha pramana, data that is being observed as a deductive reasoning. It's called deductive reasoning. So sabdas spashta sabdad yukteshu bhautikatvam atisputam, that the existence of these five elements is crystal clear. Spashtam is crystal clear because of direct perceptual knowledge as well as inferential knowledge based on the logic. So the pratyaksha pramana, sabda means pratyaksha pramana, pratyaksha means direct perceptual knowledge through the five senses, and anumana pramana, indirect deductive logic, also comes from the again because it is supported by pratyaksha pramana. Therefore, I can clearly establish the existence of these five elements and their products also included in the process. Achadau api tat shastra yuktibhyam avadharyatam. So how do I know I have senses? How do you know you have senses? Because I can see, right? How do I know I can see? You tell me. You can see. So I can deduce, or even that's how the ophthalmologist will tell, that you can see properly. If you tell him, you can later identify this is letter A, this is small letter, smaller letter, smaller letter. You have to tell him that you are able to see. Since you are able to see, he can deduce from that your senses are functioning very well. I had a hearing test, by the way. So they said I have 30% loss and 40% loss or something like that. So anyway, I have to see what can be done. But though the deduction that my senses are functioning only by logical analysis, and also Shastras will tell me that only I can perceive the attributes of the object. Shastra means both the science as well as the Vedanta tells me only I can see the attributes of the object for which I had to use my five senses and then deduce it. Okay. Yuktibhyam avadharyate. Through this Shastra and through logic, Shastra, logic and Anubhava. All are three involved. Anubhavam and the logic and Shastra. All three are involved in establishing the existence of the external world as well as the existence of my senses to perceive the external world. Okay, that's what it is. Has been established. So what is he trying to do? He says, remember, this whole chapter is a commentary on, say, Sadeva Saumya Idamagram Asit Ekam Eva Advitiyam. My boy, what was there before was existence, and that existence itself is one without a second, and itself became many. And from that many, starting from Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, and then from there, again due to mutual interactions, what you call Panchikaranam, became a grosser world. So everything that I see originally is coming from that. Pure existence alone was there before, and now pure existence itself is there in varieties of forms. Okay, it's a pure existence, Brahman alone, because Brahman means infinite. Infinite cannot undergo any modification. Infinite itself appearing as this. So it's not real modification also. It is only apparent modification. So it appears to be real for those who do not see that which is behind the appearance. Follow the problem? Because I am carried away with the sense input and giving a reality to what I am seeing as a plurality. But the truth of the matter is, there is no real world, because what was there is existence, and existence is infinite, he said, and infinite by itself cannot undergo any modification. Why? Because it is infinite. By definition, only finite things can modify, infinite cannot undergo modifications. Therefore, what you see is not really real, it's only apparently real. So because this becomes a very important, because I do not see the real as a real and I see unreal as a real. That's where the confusion comes into picture in these perceptions. Okay, he is summarizing here. What is this idam? He says, what was he said? He said before. He says, yatha soumya eki. No. My mind went back. Say, Sadeva Soumya. Sadeva Soumya idamagrama said. What was there before? Before idam. Idam means this entire universe. Agra means before the entire universe came into being. So before the universe came into being, what was there before? So the Father in heaven and Lord, all those things, words are used by different religions. But here the scripture is extremely scientific. What was there is existence alone was there. So what kind of existence? Is going to tell you there are no kinds of existence. There is only one kind, because existence cannot have too many kinds. There is only one kind of existence. That's what he is going to tell. But here now he is concentrating what is this idam. Okay? What is idam? Agra says. Ekadasendriyair yuktya. Ekadasendriyair yuktya. Sastrenapyavagamyate. Sastrenapyavagamyate. Ya vakting chit bhavedetat. Idam sabdoditam jagat. Together. Ekadasendriyair yuktya shastrenapyavagamyate yavaktim chit bhavedetat idam shabdoditam jagat. So Ekadasa is 11, right? What are the 11? 5 karmendriyas, 5 jnanendriyas plus the mind. Remember Ekadasi? Ekadasi Vratam? Ekadasi is, you're supposed to starve on that day, right? You have as a Vratam, 11th day of this lunar cycle, this is 11th day, you are supposed to starve. So what does it mean? Why 11th day you have to starve? Those day you have to control 5 dasendriyas, 5 sense organs and 5 organs of action plus the mind. You have to withdraw from indulgence in the world outside. That means eating, all those. Eating is a major indulgence. Eating, hearing, all sorts of worldly things. Withdraw from the mind and deposit, concentrate on the higher. That's what is the Ekadasi Vrata. Not eating something else other than what you are eating. And says, whatever you like on that day, you make it as Ekadasi. Not the purpose of Ekadasi is withdrawing your senses from indulgence in the 5 sense organs or 5 sense pleasures, 5 sense pleasures, and invest that which is by conserving that, invest into something higher. That is what Ekadasi. So here, Ekadasendriyairihi, through these 10 organs of 5 organs of the perception, jnanendriyas, and organs of action, plus the mind, through that, indriyahi, yuktya, by the logic, and Shastrena api avagamyate. And by the Shastras, we have understood the whole process now. Through these five senses. Without the five senses, the world cannot be established. Through the five senses and by the logic, because the senses cannot be perceived directly, we have to infer that the senses are functioning through because of the way it is through the perception of the world. And Shastra also tells, therefore, api avagamyate. It means understood about the whole world now, Jagat. Yavat kinchit bhaved etat. So whatever kinchit. So even anywhere in this universe, in anything that exists in this universe, yavat kinchit etat jagat, this world is avagamyate, is known only through this process. Anywhere in the world, in whatever, including some virus, to galaxies and all sorts of things, can be known only through these 10 indriyas plus the mind. If they are not working, the whole universe, as far as that person is concerned, it disappears. So idam shabdam uditam is idam shabdoditaha is jagat. This whole universe, idam, is what is being pointed out in the Sadeva Saumya idamagramas. Before the creation of this entire, whatever that you see, from microcosm to macro things, everything that is in the universe, that you can perceive, that is through direct perceptual process, that you can deduce by the yukti, by the anumana pramana. All that objectifiable things in the world comes under Jagat, is the world. You see what comes under the... So what was there before creation? So in the statement, Sadeva Saumya idamagramasit, before the creation of the idam means this entire universe of all objective worlds, anywhere in the whole universe, from micro to macro, and from the conceptual objects as well as the perceptible objects, because conceptual objects are based on perceptible objects only, because yuktya, based on the deductive reasoning of what you see, and therefore is established by the Shastra, and all that comes under Jagat, and that's what is being pointed out in the idam, in the Chandogya Upanishad. So he's analyzed the whole thing now. He says, what was that idam in the statement of the scriptures? Okay. Okay, next go. He goes further anyway, he's going to analyze it more. Idam sarvam pura srishtihi. Idam sarvam pura srishtihi. Yekameva dvitiyakam. Kameva dvitiyakam. Sadevasi nama rupe. Nama rupe. Nasta mitcharunervachaha. Together. Idam sarvam pura srishtihi. Yekameva dvitiyakam. Sadevasi nama rupe. Nasta mitcharunervachaha. So, Arunehi is from the Chandogya Upanishad. Aruna is Arunehi. Aruna is the son of Aruna, and who was the father of Svetaketu. Okay, so this is being referred to Chandogya Upanishad. So we took that Sadvidya sometime back in the Memorial Day camp, and that was Sadvidya Chandogya Upanishad. We covered that. So those who want to know, you can read what Aruna really told. Okay, his statement was Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam Bhavati. Knowing one thing, you will know everything, and that knowledge is what he was teaching there. So here idam sarvam pura srushtehe. So statement was sadeva saumya idamagramasit. Sad eva, existence alone, was there before creation. So here he is emphasizing idam sarvam, this whole entire universe. What is idam? He told in the previous sloka, whatever that I perceive, whatever I can think of, whatever that can be objectifiable, which is not a subject, which can be objectifiable, is all come under Purnamidam, right? Infinite is Purnam. That infinite is idam sarvam pura sustehe pura, before the creation. This entire universe is idam, and before that idam is created, before that, what was there is Sat, existence alone was there, Sadeva. That is Ekameva Advitiyam. He is quoting from the scripture. It is Ekam Eva Advitiyam. He is going to analyze that more in the next sloka. So, Sadevas Nama Rupe Sat Eva Asit. So Sat was there, alone was there before the creation. That's a statement which was Ekameva Advitiyam. So Nama Rupe na astam nastamiti, na nama rupe nastam. So what was not there before? So now we look at the before the creation, what was there? Existence alone was there, right? Then after the creation, same existence now exists in different names and forms. So all these names and forms, nama and rupa, are all objectifiable world, because everything objectified we give a name for it. So therefore name and form means attributes, go with each object, and that came after the creation. So therefore implication is there are no nama rupa before the creation, because they came with the creation. So therefore, na, it says na astam, they were not there, this before the creation. So how do you say that? Who said that there was no this one? Because he has to quote the scripture here. He says, Arunehe vachaha. That's exactly what the Naruna is Uddalaka is Aruna. Uddalaka is his name. He mentioned this in the Chandogya Upanishads. So here the scripture becomes a pramana. What was there before the world created? People are scientists trying to find out what was there, and there's a God particle or this particle and all that. What was there is existence alone was there before creation, and itself became many. In that existence, it is Ekameva Advitiyam. It is one without a second. There is no Nama Rupa at all. There are no names and forms are not there. And he is going to talk about all that in the Ekameva Advitiyam. Is going to explain in the next sloka. Let's do Purnamada Purnamidam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.